Football was faced with a must-win situation this past Saturday against Adams State. We have highlights from Stoker Stadium.
Plus, men's soccer looks to extend their win streak to 11 in a row against Metro State and UCCS.
All that and much more coming up on Maverick Postgame. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Maverick Postgame. I'm Joe Azar.
And I'm Bryce Reedy.
After losing 2 consecutive games to lose its lead in the RMAC standings, CMU coach Russ Martin warned players about their upcoming game against Adams State, claiming that this week the staff will find out whether or not some players were willing to play for their team rather than themselves. In order to have any shot of being a player in the conference, the Mavs had to take care of business in the homecoming game against the lowly Grizzlies. So now we take you to Stoker Stadium. It was homecoming night there, and you can see the celebration there. Adams State came out fiery with a flag, but what you can do, we can do better. We had a bull, and real live Maverick there, rowdy, racing up and down the field. And speaking of racing, the Mavericks offense was off to a fiery start, Bryce.
Yeah, and led this time by quarterback Easton Saloom in his first ever start for the Mavericks. Right there, he finds Brown down the sideline, and then David Tan rushes it in for the first score of the game on the very opening drive. Mavericks get it started off early, 7-0.
Yeah, David Tan's a name that you want to know for sure for this highlight, but Adams State would answer right back. Look at that nice grab there by the Grizzlies. That was their first drive as well. Caught the pass, touchdown there.
Yeah, so the Mavericks had to come back with another force. This time, once again, Saloom, David Tan. This one's going to go for 72 yards as he's going to avoid the defense down the sideline, break away, and score with ease, being untouched by the Grizzlies defense. That is the second straight drive the Mavericks will score and make it 14-7 in the early going.
Yeah, here comes the Mavericks yet again. Look at Saloom. This one goes for 74 yards. By Felicia, no one touches him. Look at this, and then it looks like he will score. Someone finally catches up, but that's a 74-yard run by the sophomore quarterback. How impressive is that?
Yeah, and can you guess who's going to get the touchdown here again?
I'm going to go with David Tan.
I think you got a good guess there. That's his third of the day, and we're only in the first quarter, 21-7.
Adams State, though, answers back this one by running back Corey Brown, number 6. That's a big touchdown there. Impressive stuff by the Grizzlies, hanging in there.
Yeah, but once again, it's going to be who else? David Tan cut into the edge, getting with another ease. He's not getting touched on half of these touchdowns. That's his 4th in the first quarter for the Mavericks. 28-14 is your score.
Absolutely, David Tan tearing them apart. But again, look at this. This is impressive. Hurdles over the Maverick defender. What an impressive play there. Just gets up there. Get up, big fellow, with the air. And that actually keeps the drive alive because Adams State was able to find it a touchdown there. Very close to being an interception.
Yeah, and once again, so here's going to be Saloom. He said, why you can jump over people, I'll jump over 3. And so that gets them down all the way inside the 5-yard line for the Mavericks. Sets up another touchdown opportunity. Look at that. Look at those hops from the sophomore quarterback, showing that he's got athleticism as well.
And then I'm going to go with David Tan for 300 points on this one as he scores once again. That's his 5th, and we're not even through the first half. He is just terrorizing them, and then guess what it is? Guess who it is, Bryce?
David Tan once again. Is that 6?
That's numero 6 in my book right there. How impressive is that, man? Hi, Mom, from the offensive lineman, and hi to David Tan as he showed the world what he can do.
Yeah, Corey Brown, however, he's trying to show that he's a good running back in this game as well. He scores for his 2nd touchdown of the game in that one.
And here comes a big stop, though. The Mavericks weren't able to stop Adams State much in the first half, and then they get a big stop here. This sack allows them to be foiled back, and then it's no one else. Who else is it going to be? That's number 7. That breaks the RMAC record for most touchdowns in a single game. David Tan just tearing this Adams State defense apart.
Yeah, and Adams State trying to get back into this one. They're down 49-28 at this point, but Dustin Rivas nearly came away with the pick in the first half. He comes away with his pick in the second half. That's the first turnover for the game for both sides.
Yeah, and here comes the last highlight. Look at this throw by Easton Saloom on a dime. What a beautiful throw for the touchdown. Absolutely impressive stuff there. The sophomore quarterback, if it wasn't for David Tan's night, would have had a career highlight day, but David Tan was the one who stole the show there. Bryce, now we take you to the box score.
Yeah, so Mavericks would later score a couple more touchdowns to make the final 63-42 as the Mavs move on to 6-2 on the season. Saloom finished the game with 582 total yards of offense with 2 touchdowns through the air. That man David Tan added 162 yards on 30 carries to go with 105 receiving yards. Like you said before, his 7 touchdowns broke the record for most touchdowns by both a Maverick and anyone in the RMAC. Tan is also the leader in touchdowns in the RMAC this season. As for the Grizzlies, Romero led the way offensively with 10 receptions for 96 yards and 3 touchdowns on the night.
There are two-way tie at the top between the Mavs and Western State. Colorado Mines and CSU Pueblo also have 2 losses in the conference. The good news, though, is that the Mavs own the tiebreaker between all 3 of those teams after beating them, and thanks to the win this past weekend, once again control their own destiny in the conference. However, they have to win out. They absolutely have to win out in their remaining 4 games. After the game, though, for the homecoming game, we caught up with some of the players and the coach to discuss their performance on Saturday. Take a listen.
Yeah, they played lights out. We started moving the ball a little faster, and that helps us get in a rhythm, and I think that was huge. You know, our coaches did a great job game planning and getting us in a rhythm so we can keep scoring, keep the ball moving, and offensive line played great. Our receivers caught the ball. Big situations, keep the chains moving.
It was a fun day. Yeah, offense was executing well. The line did a fantastic job blocking on every play, and we were moving the ball. David Tan, obviously, I heard he set a record.
I mean, did you have any idea you had 6 touchdowns? I mean, you should have had the 7th. I mean, what's up with that?
I'm pretty upset about that one, to be honest now. But no, I mean, I wasn't thinking about it. Everybody on the sideline was talking to me about it and stuff. I mean, the game was still close and they were still scoring, so I was worried about that. And I don't know, it's exciting. I'm just proud of the guys and bringing that fire and that desire back like we should every week.
I'll tell you what, I didn't even know he had 7 touchdowns till they said that after the game. I know he was scoring several times, but I mean, he's a dynamic player. He's a great player. Like I said, he's a really good running back. He runs physical. He can make guys miss. He's got good speed. He's a great receiver out of the backfield.
We were playing at a fast pace. The linemen were picking up all of their blocks and able to do it. So it was a lot of fun, and the results were good tonight.
You know, if you go back in the last couple games, when we played faster, we've played better. And we've had a different sense of urgency. So this week we wanted to go in, we practiced with both the fast tempo and our normal tempo, and that way we could both speed it up and slow it down. But we got rolling and our guys had them on their heels, and that's the whole purpose of that. But you know, the thing is we finally were executing stuff better tonight so that you can do that, because in a couple other situations when we haven't executed as well, then all of a sudden it puts the defense back on. Tonight, we were moving the football, we were getting first downs, we were mixing in a run, you know, we were mixing in the passes, and so our guys were doing a great job of executing the offensive game plan, and that kept them on their heels. We were getting points coming off the field, you know, and I think that was a huge deal tonight, was our guys maintaining that tempo and just really having very few mistakes as we did it.
Now, women's soccer was also in action this past weekend, and they were riding a 2-game win streak that helped them climb to 4th place in the RMAC standings. However, they had a tough task ahead of them on Friday night as they were heading to play CSU Pueblo, who ranked 2nd in the conference heading into the weekend. As the game began, the Mavericks had a rough time getting anything going on the offensive side of the ball. Pueblo was the clear aggressor in this one, and in the 23rd minute, they showed it with their first goal of the game. Just over 4 minutes later, the Thunder Wolves were able to score their 2nd of the night, thanks to Lakin Cross netting her 7th goal of the year. Neither team would score for the remainder of the game, giving the Thunderwolves the 2-0 win over the Mavericks. However, despite losing in Pueblo, the women's team still had a chance to clinch a spot in the RMAC playoffs with a win on the road against the 3-6 Cowboys. And unlike the game prior, the Mavericks came out as the real aggressor in this game, and the Mavs outshot New Mexico Highlands 6-1 in the opening half, including the lone goal in the half thanks to Ryan Parker scoring her first goal of the season. When the second half started, however, the Cowboys started getting more of an offensive groove, matching the Mavericks shot for shot. And in the 75th minute, they were able to get one past Caitlin Houston to tie the game up at 1 apiece. And for the second consecutive week, the Mavericks would be heading into overtime to try and pull out another win. But this time, however, they weren't going to wait until the final minute to score. Just over a minute into the overtime period, Haley Bergeron fired her second goal of the year past the Cowboy goalkeeper to give the Mavs the 2-1 victory and a spot in the RMAC playoffs. This is the first time since 2012 that the Mavericks are going to be represented in the playoffs. Their final game of the year is going to be this Sunday at Walker Field for senior night against the 0-10 Black Hills State.
And we just want to send our congratulations to the women's soccer team. Amazing turnaround by Jason Clare and the team. And now, speaking of teams headed to the RMAC playoffs, the men's soccer team has not lost a single game in the conference and have won 9 consecutive games entering the weekend. And the last time that they dropped points was over a month ago against Metro State, whom they played on Friday before a tough game on Sunday against UCCS. Let's bring you the highlights now from Walker Field for both games. The Maverick soccer team, an absolute dynasty right now in the RMAC standings. They, again, have not lost or dropped points since September 16th. Here comes a corner kick by Moshi Perez 5 minutes into the game. Here's Slater Elkin, a defensive captain that normally doesn't score. That's a rocket in the top shelf right there. That was the 3rd consecutive game that the Mavericks have opened up with a goal in the opening 5 minutes. Look at this shot, rocketed to the top net. Absolute beauty.
Couldn't have placed it any better myself. Now the Mavericks have another chance here. Moshi Perez, he's going to do some little okie-dokie stuff, but the Metro State player is going to hit him in the face, get called for a foul in this one, and then it's going to be another opportunity for the Mavericks here with a nice header as Moshi Perez is going to take it once again and find who else on the year is he going to find? I don't know.
Again, I'm going to take Roy Abigail for 300 points here.
And you are correct, as he's going to put in his first goal of the night as he does, his celebration as he usually does. And we're going to get another opportunity.
Watch this goal now. Now watch this goal. You thought Roy Abigail was done? No. He doesn't score just one goal. Roy Abigail does not simply score one goal a game. The goalie's out because they're trying to get a last-second corner kick to at least get something going. Moshi Perez, it's a foot race between him and the goalie, and look at this selflessness. He gives the ball to Roy Abigail. That's a tap, and of course he's going to make a wide-open net. He's made tougher goals in his life before. 3-0 the score. And now against UCCS, this was a little bit tougher. The Mavericks found themselves down entering the second half, but here comes a nice shot here by Louis Straight into the corner. That's the opening goal for the Mavericks. And then here's Moshi Perez. Do not give Moshi Perez time. He will find Roy Abigail every time. And that's another goal. That's 2 goals in 8 minutes for the Mavericks as they answer back against UCCS. A tough game. They were down for a while, but Abigail and the Mavericks find themselves once again victorious. Let's take you to the box score. Bryce, break it down for us.
All right, so the second half comeback kept the Mavericks streak alive to give them the 2-1 victory. That moves the Mavericks to 11 wins in a row and 11-0-1 in the conference. Abigail's goal gives him 22 on the year, which is good for second in the nation, 1 behind the leader. CMU outshot UCCS 9-7 in the game and 5-2 in shots on goal for the night. We were able to catch up with head coach Todd Padgett and others following the victory.
All right, I am here with Coach Todd Padgett. Coach, come from behind, continue your win streak, heading into a crucial weekend. Give us your initial thoughts on the game.
It was a tale of two halves. We came out flat, we came out uninspired, we came out lethargic, our energy level was poor, and that hasn't been an issue since we've been on this run. So we had to get some things right at halftime. We had to have a pretty stern conversation with the guys, and they deserve all the credit in the world. One thing this group is going to do, or they show that they're capable of doing, is responding when they're down. And that's a wonderful, wonderful trait to have. But the conversation we just had, we shouldn't have to have responded. We should have came out with more desire, more passion. We're ahead of the conference. We want to stay there, and it didn't look like that the first half. But while the first half was poor, I thought the second half was extremely positive.
Why do you think you guys came out with that lack of energy in the first half? You guys had a couple of times where the team was trying to feed Moshi, and it was really forcing the play.
Absolutely. When we're not when we're not playing our brand, we're forcing things. We become direct and we become too narrow. When we get the ball in wide spaces, we're able to build, we're able to get bodies forward, and we're able to do some damage. If I was able to answer that question in terms of why they come out the way that they do, I think I'd maybe be a millionaire. I think I'd write a dozen of books. It's frustrating as a coach, but all in all, extremely proud of the group. They've done a great job all year, and it's a fun group to be around. We just didn't get things right for 45 minutes, but we did for the second, and fortunately we won the match.
Yeah, I think we came out a little too confident, maybe a little too sleepy, and in the halftime we had a talk that we have to pick it up. We have to pick up the energy, everyone for each other, and I think from the first whistle of the second half you could see that this talk helped and it worked, and we came out firing.
Absolutely. You and Moshe Perez have made everyone's lives miserable on the defensive end for opposing teams. Talk about what that type of connection that provides for you guys. You guys know each other so well.
Yeah, I think we know each other very good. We have this connection. We just look in each other's eyes and we already know what's gonna. What I know what Moshe is gonna do, and he knows what I'm gonna do, and that's how exactly the goal happened. Moshe just straight looked me in the eyes, and I knew where the ball is gonna be right away, which he played a great ball.
All right. Now let's take a look at the RMAC standings, and the Mavericks have a commanding lead in the conference standings, Regis having the 2 losses as the next closest threat to CMU. The 2 teams play each other at Regis on Friday, but CMU only needs a draw in their next 2 games to clinch the regular season title and earn the right to host the conference playoffs in a couple weeks.
Now, much like a lot of the other Maverick sports teams, Volleyball 2 is riding a big 7-game win streak heading into the weekend, and they'd be going up against 2 lesser opponents in Black Hills State and South Dakota Mines. Now, the Yellow Jackets were the first matchup of the weekend as they came into the game with a less than 500 record both overall and in the conference. However, that wasn't going to startle them against the hot Mavericks, and they came out swinging as they took the first set 25-17. CMU seemed to be woken up after the first set, however, as they went on to win the following 2 sets to give them the 2-1 lead in the game. But Black Hills State wasn't going away, coming back to win the 4th set 25-16, sending the game into a winner-take-all set. And it was the red-hot Yellow Jackets that proved victorious, winning the set 15-11 and ending the Mavericks' 7-game win streak. Now, the Mavericks had one more game on the weekend against South Dakota School of Mines, and they weren't going to take this game lightly and fall to 0-2 on the weekend. CMU won the game in straight sets, with Ali Svornik leading the team with 30 assists and Gabrielle Diaz leading with 10 kills. CMU has 2 games this week, including a game at home tonight against Western State at 7 o'clock.
So many sports to talk about, but Bryce, it's almost time for your favorite sports season, as basketball is right around the corner with both the men's and the women's teams for CMU set to tip off in just a couple weeks. With more on the 2 teams, we have a special report from Delaney Letts.
Basketball season is quickly approaching, with games kicking off November 11th at Dallas Baptist for the men's team and at Dixie State for the women's team. This past weekend, your men's and women's basketball teams hyped up for the season by participating in the first annual Midnight Madness contest. CMU fans cheered them on as they competed in 3-point and dunk contests. Some crazy talent was seen on the court that night. I know this season will definitely be exciting. Some players have already been recognized for their amazing skills. Senior Aimer Lopez was named to preseason All-RMAC team with an average of 12.6 points and 1.33 assists per game. He will return even stronger for another season. Senior Brianna Adams was also named to the preseason All-RMAC team for the women's team. She averaged 17.3 points with 4.4 rebounds per game. Last year, CMU's men's basketball finished 21-9 and 3rd overall in the RMAC with a 16-6 record. After an average of 64.7 points per game last year, CMU's women's team finished 14-9 in the conference. In this year's preseason, they finished in a tie for 4th place in the 15-team conference preseason race. I know we will see both teams thrive in another great season to come this winter. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Delaney. Going off that, the basketball teams did hold their first ever Midnight Madness event this past Friday. The night featured a three-point competition between both the men's and women's teams, a dunk contest, and the chance for a student to win free tuition for a semester. But rather than us telling you about the event, how about we show you some of the sick dunks and shots that were made on the night, and that is exactly what we're going to do here as we have the highlights from Bronson Arena during Midnight Madness here.
That's Brianna Adams right there. We have highlights galore on this episode. That's Eimer Lopez, both all RMAC team selections. And then there's a couple new people to be excited about. Who is this, Bryce?
This is James Sylvester. Get to know the name. He's a transfer from Toronto, and he's ready to show off his hops in this one. And there is Jalen Duran, who will be competing in the three-point competition alongside this man from Sweden,
Ludwig Solid. He is so good, guys. Watch him steal the show in the three-point contest. We're going to start out with Jalen Duran because she was pretty darn impressive as well. Look at all the shots. Bank, money. Oop, that one hit the... And that one money as well. Another impressive performance here by one of the newest members of the women's basketball team. A lot of talent. I can't make this many three-pointers. I'd be surprised if I can make one. And look at how many three-pointers she is making. That's impressive. And then at the death makes one. That was the final round. Who did she go up against? Ludwig. And unfortunately, Ludwig was just so impressive in this one, Bryce.
Yeah, Ludwig in one of the rounds, he hit 19 of 25 shots. He was unconscious from three. I was talking to him after the game, and he just pretty much blocked out all noise, and he was just in a groove from start to finish. And he would end up beating Jalen in this one. But it was a good contest between both. As you can see, he did not miss one on that rack, and he just was unconscious from three all night.
Yeah.
There was nobody even close to coming to him.
No, he was untouchable at the three-point contest. He's the one that ended up winning the three-point contest. And now we're going to transition to the dunk contest. We got Tanner Riley as one of the participants, as well as Eimer Lopez, as well as Kabir West, and then we should really get to know the name James Sylvester. Bryce, let's take you through the first dunk. Here it comes. I want you to give me a rating out of 10 on this one. Between the legs, off the backboard, and a slam. What do you give that one?
You know, I mean, the between the legs pass with the ability to slam, I'm going to give that one a solid 8.
Solid 8. Now this one is off the wall. Kabir West with authority. Off the wall. And what do you give that one, Bryce?
I think that one's a 9. Off the wall, man, that is hard to do, to place that one and be able to put it in like Kabir did.
Now look at this one. This one's Sylvester over a player and slams it down home. That's got to be a 10. We thought that was the most impressive one on the night, but the one coming up is even more impressive. He said, well, I won with 1. Let's see if I can jump over 2, and he does. Over 2 players. Look at the hops there. 2 impressive newcomers for the Mavericks men's team shine, but that's not the biggest highlight of them all. We had a kid trying to win free tuition here, Bryce.
Yeah, and that kid's name is John Berdier. He had to hit a layup, three-pointer, and half-court shot within a minute to get free tuition for a semester. Now, he hit the layup on the first try, hits the three-pointer on the second try, so he's got plenty of time to take for this half quarter. His first one, it goes up and rattles off. Oh my goodness, that was so close, but he's got plenty more chances. Is he gonna do it? It's up. It's good. He is mobbed. He has just won free tuition for a semester.
Oh my goodness, they tore down through the table. That was the biggest highlight. Look at that, with such confidence off the half-court shot. Just an amazing, amazing effort there from a baseball player as well. But now it's time for the Maverick of the Week. And Bryce, it's pretty obvious who our choice is here. It's the RMAC record breaker, David Tan. Who else could it be?
Yeah, Tan was pretty much the workhorse on the offense, scoring 7 touchdowns on the day to go alongside with 267 yards of total offense. His 7 scores, like we said, are the most in CMU and RMAC history for a single game. And Tan was the leading reason behind why the Mavericks were able to avoid losing 3 in a row. And that is why David Tan is our Maverick of the Week.
Absolutely. That'll do it, though, for this week's Maverick Postgame. As always, tune in next time for all the scores and highlights from the world of CMU sports. With Bryce Reedy, I'm Joe Azar. You know the drill. Enjoy your week, Mavs.